All right, we are back. Week 1 NFL picks. It is 2019 now. It's the 100th season of the NFL. We're here with some new faces. We got Joel here and Preston here in the background. So go ahead and say what's up.
What's up, boys?
Hey,
It's
happy to
your
be here.
boy.
Let's go. We are back. So last year, well, actually, let's start off with 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I actually won picks, but it was only me and Gage. And then last year, we had a little bit more of a squad. People kind of rotated in and out, but overall, Gage ended up winning the picks. He got his revenge on me. He went I think 8-2 in the playoffs. He only got 2 games wrong in the playoffs, so he won the whole thing. But we finally have Preston here. Hopefully, he's going to be here the whole year this time. And so yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't finish the season last
He
year.
didn't finish the season last year, but he was doing pretty good. I'm pretty sure he was beating me throughout the first 9 weeks of the season or something. But it's okay. You're gonna stay here all this time. So
Yeah.
like I said, anyways.
Yeah.
First week, this is probably the hardest week to pick because you don't really know if teams are going to be great or not.
Oh, yeah.
So once you get through the first week and once you start kind of getting rolling, it gets a lot easier. But this first week is going to be kind of hard to analyze a team. You can just go through off-season trades and stuff, but I mean overall, it's going to be consensus-based type thing. And what I mean by that, it's going to be copy and paste from last year. Of just is this team, did they upgrade or did they not? So I think it's going to be really exciting to see. And there's some tough games. I was looking at some games this week, and it's only week 1. And like I said, it's the hardest week to pick, but there's also just some tough games overall to pick just by your instincts. So we're going to do the same thing every year. We switch off every time, kind of just talk about it. Joel is fortunate enough to give us some spreads this year. We didn't do that last year as much. We kind of did every now and then, but not consistently. So this time we'll be able to. And so let's go ahead and get on into the first game of the season, which is Thursday night. We have the Packers at the Bears. Preston, I'll let you start this game off. Who do you think's going to win?
Just gonna say, you remember what happened last year, week 1, Packers versus Bears?
I do. I remember. Aaron Rodgers crazy
Aaron
comeback.
freaking Rodgers. I think the same thing's gonna happen this year. Khalil Mack came out with a statement today saying, he's just ready to hit somebody. So I think he's going to come out swinging. But I think ultimately Aaron Rodgers and their new head coach and new offense hopefully will help, make it a little bit tougher for Khalil Mack to make plays. And I just think Aaron Rodgers is too good and they're going to get this dub.
Yeah, Preston, I definitely agree with you on that. I think Aaron Rodgers is out to prove something this season. And with Packers being just a 3-point underdog going into Chicago, I think that's just a very even matchup, even for an away game for the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers will just be out there ready to go and prove that without Mike McCarthy, he can sling it and he can be just as good as anyone in the National Football League.
Awesome. So you got Packers?
I got Packers.
All right. What do you got? You guys got a score base? Because normally we do some scores.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Preston?
Yeah, so I'm going to go – let's go similar score to last year. Let's go 27-24.
Okay. Joel?
I think it's early in the season, so I'm going to go a little bit higher on the scoring. I'm going to go 34-31.
Okay, pretty high scoring game, and y'all both got Packers. All right, so before I decided to save mine for last, which is good because I'm gonna kind of go a little bit on a rant here because I have some stuff to say about the Packers before I pick this game.
Course.
So I've been looking into this really well because of how the Packers have not made the playoffs since 2016. So let me just start off by saying Green Bay has made some big moves this offseason. There's no doubt about it. With the hope of making it back to the playoffs, like I said, since 2016, Aaron Rodgers will be 36 by the time the playoffs rolls around, which will be in December. At this point in his career, a lot of people think he might be a tad bit overrated. A tad bit. And now a lot of people, before you guys hop on me and say, whoa, Eric, Aaron Rodgers overrated, that's freaking crazy. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But now, I guess all I can say is with the years and him being on a great team, he's had a lot to prove. And I understand that he hasn't always had the help around him. It all came together one year in 2011 when he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl. And you know how old he was at that time? He was 26, 27 years old. You know how old I was? I was 10, bro. Okay? So it has been 10 years since the Packers have legit, okay, obviously they won the Super Bowl, and I get it. Not every team, only one team can win the Super Bowl every year. But I think this year is going to show a lot if the Packers are for real. They made a lot of new adjustments. They got a new head coach. They pretty much cleaned the house on the QB, running back, tight end, O-line. Literally everything got a new coach. So I'm interested to see what they can do this year. The biggest concern last year was their linebackers. They didn't have a secondary. They didn't have linebackers. But you know what they did? They got Jair Alexander in last year's draft, who's turned out to be a breakout cornerback. And then they also got Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith at the linebacker position in the offseason this year, which will upgrade of the loss of Clay Matthews, who is now signed with the Rams. So I want to see what the Packers can do this year. The Bears, obviously, Mitch Trubisky, he's kind of on and off, but their defense is just really insane. So I guess I was looking earlier, and the all-time series between the Bears and the Packers right now is 96 and wait, hold on a second. I wrote it. It was like 97 and like 96 and 2 or something like that. So it's pretty close. Green Bay, while they were kind of like a mid-pack scoring team last year, they also gave up a bunch of points. So that's why they were losing games. And the excuse of Aaron Rodgers not being able to, he gets to the playoffs, but he can't win it is because he's had Mike McCarthy. But like Joel said, Mike McCarthy's gone, so Aaron Rodgers has something to prove. So the Bears kind of had a quiet offseason. Obviously, best defense in the league by far last year. They lost in the playoffs due to a muff kick by Cody Parkey. It kind of got tipped, but the double doink, kind of exited them out of the playoffs. But they have had a really, really low key, quiet offseason. Not much improvement on the offseason or on the defensive side. They got Cordell Patterson at return team, but he's been jumping teams for the past 4 years. They got Clinton Dix, which is a downgrade from losing Adrian Amos, who is now on the Packers. They got Mike Davis running back. He's solid, but I don't know what he can do. And then they got Buster Screen, who's, I think, another cornerback that's decent. So, despite all that rant, I'm going to pick the Packers. I think they're going to win, too. I have the Packers winning 24-20. I think it's going to be a very close game. But I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get a really tough win on the road. Aaron Rodgers owns Chicago. That's facts. Chicago beat Rodgers literally last year at the end of the season, and that was the first time in the last 7 times. So Aaron Rodgers had won 6 or 7 games in a row against the Chicago Bears. So I'm picking the Packers. Tough game, really hard. I was leaning towards the Bears, but I trust Aaron Rodgers and I trust the Packers offense this year. So I think they're going to have a really big year. So Packers 24-20.
Looks like we're going 0-3, boys.
All right, next game. What do we got?
Next game, we'll do Falcons versus Vikings. The Vikings are a 4-point favorite at home. My opinion on this game is I think that the Vikings win, but I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I just think that they'll pick up the field goal victory over the Falcons. I just really think that the after last season, the Vikings are ready to come back with some revenge after they took a step back from their previous season, and I just really want to see them step up and make that next level. Hopefully, get back to the playoffs and show people what they really can do with some of their offensive weapons. Adam Thielen's great, and I just hope they can put up the dub this first week and start the season strong.
Yeah. So the Vikings and the Falcons, 2 really disappointing teams last year. Obviously when the Vikings got Kirk Cousins, it was kind of a big deal for some people. Saying best offense in the league. They lost, who was it? Mike Zimmer? No, it wasn't Mike Zimmer. Who was the offensive coordinator that's now on the Giants? I forgot. Is it Pat Shurmur?
Yeah, I think it's Shurmur.
Pat Shurmur, yeah. So they lost him, and that was a really big loss for them. I didn't realize it until kind of midpoint of the season, but the Vikings were just blowing a lot of big games that they should have won. They got blown out by Josh Allen and the Bills last year. They had big games against they just had a brutal schedule, and I think this year they have even more of a brutal schedule. Atlanta's really a hit or miss team every year. They're either really good or they're really bad. But I think Atlanta's going to be a lot more improved this year. Last year, you got to look at what happened to them defensively. The first week of the season, they lost Deion Jones and Keanu Neal. They both got hurt. And Deion Jones didn't come back until later in the year. And I think Keanu Neal missed the whole season because he tore his ACL. So the Falcons were depleted last year defensively. And Calvin Ridley was still young, but he was balling out. And then obviously Julio Jones finally got back into the end zone because the year before prior to that, he only had like 3 touchdowns. So
major dry spell.
Major dry spell. But Matt Ryan is, I think, highly slept on as a quarterback because last year, I know it's fantasy, but last year in fantasy, he finished 3rd. I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have known that Matt Ryan finished 3rd in fantasy. Like, they think Patrick Mahomes, like Aaron Rodgers. They think of all these big names, but you don't think of, like, these other guys.
Bro, Matty Ice, always a good fantasy pick.
Matty Ice.
Don't sleep on Matty Ice.
Yeah, I got him in the 5th round this past week, so I was pretty happy about that. But, so these are 2 teams that really need to prove something this year. I think both of these teams have potential to make the playoffs. The Vikings, like I said, up and down, and the Falcons up and down. They're playing in Minnesota. Tough place to win. But I'm actually going to go ahead and pick the upset. I'm going to say that the Atlanta Falcons get a big win here on the road. I like the way that they're going. I like a healthy Falcons team. And I think they're going to give the Saints, surprisingly, a run for their money. I think they're going to split a game with the Saints this year. And I say that they get a pretty big win on the road. I think this is going to be a very, very high-scoring game. I'm going to say Matty Ice hits Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley, a big receiver in the end zone late in the game to get the win. So I got the Falcons winning by a touchdown, 27-20. So that's what I got. I got Falcons. So who do you got, Preston?
Yeah, so this is an interesting game for me because, I mean, just like the Vikings last year, I felt were super disappointing. I have a lot of friends who are Vikings fans. And 2 years ago, obviously, they were one play away from going to the NFC Championship with freaking Case Keenum. Yeah. So when they got Kirk Cousins, I was like, I like that. I like that.
I did too.
He was all like, "You like that?" And I said, "Yeah, I like that." But I didn't like it because last year, was very disappointing. But yeah, losing their offensive coordinator was obviously huge. And hopefully, they're able to learn from last year and kind of like have a better season this year. But, with that being said, I say they don't turn things around week 1. And I think Matt Ryan comes out swinging. Julio Jones has a 150-yard game the first week of the season. And I just think their offense is going to be too much to handle, even though the Vikings defense has always been great, especially these past couple of years. So, yeah, I'm going to take Vikings actually win by 10. I'm going to go 30-20.
I'm going to change
Falcons win by 10.
I'm going to change my score. I'm going to say it's a little bit higher scoring. I'm going to say 31-24. So I still have it a 7-point game. I think it'd be a little higher scoring. Joel?
I like what Eric's saying, 31-24. But I think that definitely the Vikings come in for the dub.
Okay, sweet. Did we lose Preston? You still there, Preston?
No, somebody called me.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, what's the next game?
All right, so next game is Baltimore at Miami. Baltimore is a 7.5-point favorite. They are at Miami, which if they were playing in a neutral location, that'd be a 10.5-point spread in Baltimore's favor. Eric, what do you have to say on this one?
Oh, dude, this is an easy game for me. I have Baltimore killing them, and the reason is because the Miami Dolphins at this point are on full tank mode, and the season hasn't even started yet. I mean, they picked up Ryan Fitzmagic, so you can make the argument that he's going to have one miracle or a few miracle weeks, and they're going to stun the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think it's going to happen. They're full tank mode. They're trying to get someone next year in the draft like Tank for Tua, or I mean they can't even get Trevor Lawrence until the next year if they were going to get him because Trevor Lawrence is so young. I think he's only 19 still, so he's not eligible for the draft until 2020. So he won't be in this next draft. But I mean, obviously, like I said, Baltimore, you could say that they downgraded on defense a little bit. I mean, they lost a lot of their key guys, but they also picked up Earl Thomas.
Weddle.
Yeah, they lost Eric Weddle, C.J. Mosley. I think they had Zadarius Smith too. But they still have Marlon Humphrey, who's a solid cornerback. Jimmy Smith, if he can stay on the field, he's a good cornerback too. And like I said, they picked up Earl Thomas, who's been having a really good camp. But, obviously Earl Thomas has had some injury problems, and he's coming off a really bad injury. So, I mean, it might take him a couple games or maybe midway point in the season to get going. But Baltimore's defense, I think, overall is going to shut down Miami, whether it's in Miami or in Baltimore. normally every time they always play a game in Miami or Baltimore, these teams are one of those like out of division teams that always play each other during the year, and Baltimore always gets the best of them. So I like Baltimore in this game. I'm not going to go on that Fitzmagic hype and say he has that miracle week. I'm going to say Baltimore gets a pretty low. I'm going to say it's lower scoring just because I know Lamar Jackson. I think a lot of people he's concerning this year. But the Ravens are fast. They're physical. Marquise Brown, really a receiver that they got from Oklahoma, who's going to be going to help that offense a lot. Help Lamar Jackson. This team is probably the fastest team in the league with who they have.
Oh yeah.
But I think a lot of people are going to figure out Lamar Jackson pretty soon. But not this game. So I think Baltimore is going to get a pretty easy win, but I think it's going to be lower scoring. I'm going to say they win like 17-7. So, yeah.
Oh, I have this one actually a little bit higher scoring. I think Baltimore is going to definitely get the dub, but I think it's 24-9 or 24-10 is the final outcome.
Okay. Preston?
I'm going to make the case for Fitz freaking Magic, man.
Okay.
I think that
you got Dolphins?
I think Lamar Jackson is going to struggle this year, and it's going to be rough. But then again, I said that about Patrick Mahomes last year, so
we all did. Don't worry, or I did.
It's all good, but yeah, I think Lamar Jackson's going to struggle this year. So I give the Dolphins, go 23-17 victory.
Okay, and that would be an upset too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking the Dolphins. You saw the Twitter post with the logo of the Dolphins. It had a tank in the middle of it instead of a dolphin, right? You saw that, right?
I didn't see it.
Fitz Magic.
It was
magic.
rough.
That's what they said about the Buccaneers too.
Oh.
That's true. They did beat the Saints in Week 1, so I mean, you never know. Like I said,
Week 1's crazy.
Yep. All right, next game. Who do we got?
Next game we have Bills at Jets. The Jets are a 3-point favorite, which is basically it's a toss-up. Since they're at Jets, they get the field goal favorite. For this one, I think the Jets are at home. I think Sam Darnold's in his second year. He'll be a better passer. I think they upgraded on their offensive line, and having Le'Veon behind him will just really help. Have a dump-off guy for passes and just a guy who can go out there and get you some yardage. Maybe not so much in this first game as Le'Veon, who they rely on. But I think the Jets are definitely improving this year, and I didn't see much from the Bills that I like this offseason that really made them a better team. So I'm taking the Jets for this one and I'll probably take it's a lower scoring game. I'll probably go 21-14 in favor of the Jets.
Division game. I think they split a game last year too. All right, Preston, who you got?
Jets are playing who?
The Bills and they're playing in New York.
Bills in New York. Cole Beasley. Bills' #1 receiver now.
Great pickup from the Cowboys.
Yeah, good pickup from the Cowboys. I have to really think about this one because I'm a big Cole Beasley fan, but obviously he can't put the team on his back. This game is going to come down to running the football, and if the Jets get Le'Veon Bell going, then I think it could open things up for Sam Darnold. And the opposite side, who's the Bills starting running back now since they released LaShawn McCoy?
I think it's going to be Frank Gore, but I think Devin Singletary. Yeah. Devin Singletary, he's been really good in camp, and he's a rookie, so I think he'll end up taking Frank Gore's spot. So
yeah, Gore.
Frank Gore's still playing.
But yeah, okay, my gut's telling me go with the Jets here. Just apparently Bills have a really good defense. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Jets. I say Le'Veon Bell helps open things up for Sam Darnold, and I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. So like 13-10.
Okay. Yeah. So the Jets are one of those sleeper teams this year that I kind of really like, and I'm keeping my eye out on them. Obviously, getting Le'Veon Bell when he's on the field, he's the best running back in the league, in my opinion. I know, like you might think that's crazy to say, but he did sit out last year, so I know he's got to prove himself again. But just think about how good this man was when he was in Pittsburgh. Literally, you could not ask for a more patient back. The way that he runs, the way he stops and sees the holes, it's not like none other. He's not one of those backs that just kind of runs up the middle like Zeke, but he's really patient. And he can do it. He can do it all, pass blocking, able to catch off the backfield, anything. He can do anything for you. And like I said last year, I just hope, as far as like if he's still there, like if he still wants to be there, and I think that's just going to come with confidence. And he looked pretty good in the preseason, so I'm excited to see what he can do in New York. And so he's in a new place. Sam Darnold's obviously probably going to play a little bit better last year. But he needs to limit those turnovers. I think they're going to be able to, being at home, they're going to get a pretty close win over the Bills at home. I'm going to say it's like 21-16 game, pretty close. But I have the Jets winning. I think they have more upside as far as their team right now. I like Josh Allen. I think he's in the same situation as Darnold. If he can limit the turnovers, he can be a pretty solid quarterback. But the thing about him is he can actually make plays with his feet, which is really dangerous when you have a quarterback that can do that. So, yeah. And like I said, Devin Singletary, he might not show out right away, but in a couple weeks, watch out for him. I got Jets. So what are you going to say?
I definitely think that Le'Veon is, as far as running backs go, he has the best hands in the league. I wouldn't put him as my top back in the league, especially I am a Cowboys fan, disclosure. Yeah. So I am a huge fan of Ezekiel Elliott and just everything he can do, just bouncing off tackles and just making people miss. He's just, I feel like he's the most athletic back in the league right now. Le'Veon has better hands, but I think Zeke's pass block, his blocking ability is above and beyond. But I love to see Le'Veon back there with the Jets helping Sam Darnold just improve and improve.
Yep, I like it too. And, I guess, like, they're two different backs. So, obviously, like, it's all the way. It's kind of what the back – like, it's what kind of back you prefer. Because that's kind of like a lot like Jim Brown and Walter Payton. Like, Walter Payton was more like a Le'Veon Bell. But Jim Brown was more like a Zeke Elliott, just run up the middle. So
yeah, I definitely think Le'Veon's a great fit for Sam Darnold, just being able to dump the ball off if he has any pressure or anything. Yeah. Le'Veon's always going to catch what's around him, just like a wide receiver, man, and then he just takes off.
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to say. The Jets did upgrade defensively too. They got C.J. Mosley. They still have Avery Williamson.
Quinnen Williams.
Avery Williams, that's his name?
Quinnen Williams.
No, I'm talking about the linebacker. I think it was like Avery Williamson or something.
Oh, like linebacker?
Yeah, he's like the backup, but he's like still pretty solid. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong there. I forgot his name. But they also have Quentin Williams, like Preston was saying, the rookie, who was one of the top. I think he was the top defensive player this year. Or was it Nick?
Dude still has braces.
It was Bosa, but I think Quentin Williams. Everything I've heard at Jets camp said that he's just been an incredible player for them, and that he's just gonna keep on improving.
Yeah, and then you also can't forget Jamal Adams, who's one of the best safeties in the league. Jets are a sleeper, man. Don't watch out for them. They're not gonna beat the Patriots, but they're gonna be up there, so they might get a wild card. All right, next game.
All right, next game up is Kansas City Chiefs versus the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Preston.
They are at Jacksonville, and Kansas is a 4-point favorite.
All right, who do you got, Preston?
Jacksonville. Nick Foles. Mahomes.
I miss Blake Bortles. I miss Blake Bortles so much. Better all-time QBR in the playoffs than Tom Brady.
As much as I don't want to say it, this is going to be a high-scoring, high-flying blowout. I don't think – well, remember that Jalen Ramsey said Tyreek Hill is a punt return. He's a return specialist. So I think Tyreek Hill has something to prove, especially after beating his kid. So I think he's going to go off, and the Chiefs are going to win 42 to 17.
Wow,
that's a major blowout.
All right, so that's it. Nothing much more to say.
Nothing more to say.
All right, should I go?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so Jacksonville. Last year they were nothingville pretty much because they were non-existent. They literally were one of the most disappointing teams last year because they literally started 3-1. They beat the New England Patriots. They blew them out, and they got their revenge from the AFC Championship the year before. Blake Bortles played pretty good in the playoffs the year before. And
like Bortles, baby.
And I thought he had something to prove. I thought he was going to come back, and I thought Jacksonville was going to be legit, like the AFC team to beat. But then obviously Patrick Mahomes came out of nowhere, and they almost made the Super Bowl. And then Jacksonville, I think they ended up losing like 8 out of their last 9 games of the season or something like that. They had a point where they didn't even win a game. But then they also like ended up benching like Blake Bortles for Cody Kessler. It was a freaking mess. Their offense was horrific. Like they could not score a point to save their life. So they get Nick Foles. Which it's not bad, but he's not going to go in there and change their whole offense.
It's a meh.
It's a meh. He's one of those guys that, he'll get the job done when it matters, but he's got to get him there first. And he wasn't doing that with the Eagles last year before Carson Wentz came back. Obviously he did it at the end to get him in the playoffs because if Carson Wentz, we'll talk more about that when we get to the Eagles game, but if Carson Wentz if they didn't shut him down, the Eagles wouldn't have made the playoffs. So Nick Foles does show up when it matters, but the fact that he's going to be playing all season for this team, can he do it consistently all year? Time will tell. I don't really see the Jaguars being that much of I think their defense is still really good. Like, you can't sleep on their defense, but the offense is just not good. And they're not going to be able to keep up with the Chiefs' scoring ability. You can make the argument that they could stop the Chiefs, but I don't know. I think Patrick Mahomes, when he slows down, he'll end up getting something rolling late in the game. And Preston, I actually agree with you. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think they're going to win by it's not going to be like your blowout, like 20 points, but I'm going to say that they win between 10 to 14 points. I'm going to say 31-17. I think it'll be a 14-point game or something like that, but last year they played, and that's when Jacksonville started falling off a little bit, and Chiefs ran away with it. So I think it's going to be the same outcome, even if it's in Jacksonville. So, and then Tyreek Hill's obviously back. They got 3 running back. They just picked up LaShawn McCoy. We'll see how they utilize him. They have Damian Williams. Darwin Thompson apparently has been playing good in the preseason too. So they got some running backs that they can rotate in there, that they can use. Obviously, Travis Kelce, best tight end in the league, in my opinion. Their defense is the only thing that's suspect, which is their downfall. And I said it was going to be their downfall last year, and it definitely was. So they lost a lot this year, but they did pick up some good additions. They got Frank Clark, I think, from Seattle. Or did they lose Frank Clark? They lost D Ford or Frank Clark. One of them flipped. One of them, I don't remember what happened, but they lost some key defensive players. I know they lost Justin Houston. But they did pick up the Honey Badger, so that'll help them in the secondary.
Oh, yeah.
So, like I said, Chiefs 31-17.
I like that where you're at, Eric. I definitely think Chiefs 31-17 is just a great line. I don't think that Nick Foles in this system will be nearly as successful as he was at Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is a way better run franchise. They have the offensive weaponry there compared to what Jacksonville has. It's not comparable. So I think Nick Foles, at the end of the day, is a backup quarterback or 26th through 32nd ranked in the league as far as quarterbacks go. So I don't think he can carry a Jacksonville offensive roster past into the playoffs. Or I think they're primed and ready for a 3 or 4 spot in their division this year.
Yep, and I think Jacksonville has a lot to prove too. So the pressure is on Nick Foles. So can he do it again? Time will tell. All right. Did we all pick?
Yeah, we did.
We all got Chiefs. All right. Next game.
So next game is Rams at Carolina Panthers. Personally, I think that the Rams will win. They're a 3-point favorite. I don't think they'll cover the spread. I think there's going to be a marginal 1 to 2 point victory. Cam Newton is back and healthy and ready to go. Rams coming off that Super Bowl loss. I don't think they're going to properly estimate what the Carolina Panthers are coming out to do. Cam's under pressure from a new owner to come out and be good. And Carolina, after their disappointing last season, I think is looking to bounce back. But Sean McVay, I think, is out for something, has something to prove after losing that Super Bowl. He's come under a lot of scrutiny this offseason. I really think that he's going to go in there, and in the day, offensively, the Rams will pull away with a 1-point victory. I don't know. What? Probably a little bit higher scoring. 28-27, I don't know.
Okay, you think it's going to be close? I think
it's going to be close, but I think the Rams end up winning.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go ahead and say that they cover the spread and they win by 7. They win by a touchdown. It is kind of a trap game, I think, for LA so early in the season. They're going on the road in Carolina, which is, Carolina normally does play pretty good at the first half of the season, but they don't really ever put it together at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Last year they started off like 6-3, and then they ended up losing like
6-1.
6-1. That's what it was.
Yeah, 6-1.
Yeah, and then I think
and then Cam got hurt. His shoulder.
Yeah, and then Cam got hurt.
Roller coaster Cam.
Yeah, but there were so many games last year that the Panthers were in, and they just couldn't get it done. Like, there was a game against Washington. They had a chance to go down the field and, win the game, and Cam Newton literally just threw like 3 straight passes out of bounds. Like, he didn't even try to like get some yardage. So a lot of it was from his shoulder, I understand. DJ Moore is a guy who is kind of on the uprise for receivers to have a breakout year. He did pretty good last year. They did lose Devin Funchess, so that might hurt him a little bit. Greg Olson's on and off if he can stay healthy. Same with Luke Kuechly in the defense. The secondary is kind of meh for the Carolina Panthers. And, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Rams win by a touchdown. I think it's probably like a higher scoring game, 28-21, or 28-21. I think it'll be kind of higher scoring. Being in Carolina will be a harder game. And I guess as far as the Rams go this season, I think they are going to kind of downgrade a little bit. With Todd Gurley and his knee, I think he'll still get a workload, but obviously they drafted Darrell Henderson to split the workload there. And Sean McVay is such a good coach and so young, so I don't think they're gonna be bad or anything. Like, I still think they could probably win the division and get a playoff spot, no doubt. But I don't think they're gonna get back to the Super Bowl. I just think there's too much good teams in the NFC right now that are more complete than them, and losing some defensive things. And I guess getting Eric Weddle's good, but he's kind of getting up there in age, so it all depends how Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters play in the secondary and how they use Todd Gurley, and if Jared Goff can show up in big games, because we all saw in the Super Bowl he couldn't show up in a big game. So we'll see what happens with the Rams this year. I think they're going to downgrade, but I think they're going to get this win by 7 points. So.
Yeah, I think the Rams are just going to get a little bit older and a little bit more expensive every year from here on out.
Yeah.
Especially when Jared Goff's contract is up, they're going to have to make some major changes around there.
Yeah, they went all in last year, and they couldn't get it done. So, Preston, who do you have?
Yeah, so I definitely think the Rams downgraded this year, and they're not going to have nearly the season that they had last year. I think they still will probably, I'd say they have a really good chance to win their division still. But it's not going to be with they're not going to have a first round bye or make it to the Super Bowl like last year. And as far as Carolina goes, I really hope they do well this year. They got a lot of really good things going for them. Christian McCaffrey looks like a beast in camp. And Cam being healthy outside of his foot, everything looks good there. So I don't know. There was reports that they might sit him this entire season with his shoulder, but the surgery and everything went well and he's recovered quickly. So that's really good news.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling that the Panthers are going to come in and make a statement and they're going to win this game, especially since it's in Carolina. I think they're going to get pressure on Cam, but him being able to dump it off to his quick receivers like DJ Moore or Christian McCaffrey and just make smart plays. And hopefully they can get the running game going and get some play action because that's where Cam's at his best. But yeah, I think the Panthers are going to win a close one. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring because I think, the Rams defense is going to kind of limit the Panthers from scoring a lot of points. And then I think Jared Goff is going to limit the Rams, to be honest. Obviously, Jared Goff is still growing, but I don't see him as being a Super Bowl or an elite quarterback. So I think that the Panthers are going to win in a close one. We'll go 24-21.
Okay, field goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Next game.
Next game up is Washington at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 10-point favorite.
Wow.
This one's kind of a softball, boys.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Eagles are going to win by 10, actually. I have it 10 point. I wrote it down right here. Eagles win 27-17. Way much more complete team than the Redskins at this point. The Redskins are going with Case Keenum, their guy. And I hope they can start Dwayne Haskins by the end of the year because I want to see what he can do. But the Redskins, they just their GM's a head case, man. They just don't know how to utilize their talent. And it's just last year they were in control of the division until Alex Smith unfortunately broke his leg. And before the Cowboys ended up going on a big win streak with Amari Cooper. But the Redskins, the only thing that I look at them and I'm just okay, they're really legit is the defense. They picked up Landon Collins, but they did overpay him a little bit. Yeah. And he's kind of downgraded. And then they got they traded Clinton Dix. So I mean, their defense is on the rise, but I just don't think offensively they're that good. They get Darius Juice, is that his name? Juice. Get Darius Geis back, but
he's coming. He has the juice.
The juice is loose, baby.
Get that juice.
They get Darius Geis back, who's coming off a torn ACL. I can't believe I said juice.
Darius Juice.
And so we'll be able to see what he can do. The Redskins just have so much freaking running backs. They have also Bryce Love. They just released Samaje Perine. I can't even talk to
Adrian Peterson.
And then Adrian Peterson's obviously still doing his thing at 34 years old. So
I don't know how he's still doing it.
I don't know how he's still doing it, but I mean the Redskins hit or miss with them. I say they're 8-8 at best, and that's if they have a really good season. But I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, especially with how Case Keenum played with Denver. I just think he was in the perfect situation, the perfect system with Minnesota, and he had that one really good year. So I really don't see him starting all year. I think Dwayne Haskins will end up taking over, if I'm being honest. But
I hope so.
On the other side, Carson Wentz has a lot to prove this year too.
Oh, yeah.
He has a lot to prove. He just got a big payday in June, and got that paper. So they got rid of Nick Foles. So this is the year. Can Carson Wentz have an MVP season like he did in 2017 to get the Eagles to the playoffs? We already know he can get them to the playoffs, but can he win a playoff game?
Can he win one?
Time to tell. A lot of people have the Eagles as the most complete team in the NFL. They have them dominating the division. They have them, cruising to the playoffs. We'll see. If Carson Wentz can stay healthy, I could see it. And that's just being an unbiased Cowboys fan. I could see them winning the division. But Carson Wentz has to stay on the field, and they have to stay healthy because both of these teams were really depleted last year everywhere. I think the Eagles had 7 corners out last year. So they were just literally, excuse my language, but they were fucked at that position. So, Carson Wentz has a lot to prove, and he hasn't played since week 13 of last season. And like I said, if they didn't shut him down last year and Nick Foles didn't come in and save the day again, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. So Carson Wentz still needs to prove that he can go into the playoffs and win a big game. He hasn't done it yet. Dak Prescott has done it, but not Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz is more talented, obviously, but can he do what Dak Prescott does and win a playoff game? So we'll see this year. It's going to be fun. All right. But anyways, nonetheless, Eagles more complete team. I say they win pretty easily, 10 points, 27-17. So who do you have, Presto?
Yeah, I definitely have the Eagles as well. You summed it up. I don't really need to go into full detail. But yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. We'll see how Darius Geis does. That's definitely interesting.
The juice.
Because if they have to run the ball 20 times with Adrian Peterson like last year, it's not going to be good.
Then 3 years per year.
But yeah, I got the Eagles winning 27-20.
All right, Joel, who do you got?
I'm definitely taking the Philadelphia Eagles over Washington. I think it's going to be a 10-point victory. Probably, I think it's a little higher scoring. I think earlier in the year, offenses are pumping and ready to go, tackling on the defensive side of the ball. You've had camp, but you haven't had any real games. A lot of your starters haven't tackled much, so it'll be a lot of breaking tackles and a lot of breakaways, big plays. So I think overall this one ends up being 30-17 maybe. 30-8, yeah. I'd say 30-17 is my final score with Philadelphia winning by 13.
Yeah. Oh, and also they traded for Jordan Howard this year, and I don't think he's starting, but I think they're going to split reps with him and Miles Sanders, which is the new guy that they got. And then also, of course, they got Deshaun Jackson. They traded him and got him back. So he's reuniting with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that'll be interesting to see if he can, still turn on the turbos and burn some cornerbacks out there this game. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Next game up is going to be the Colts at the Chargers. Another softball, especially after the latest news coming out about Andrew Luck retiring. The Chargers are a 7-point touchdown favorite for this game. I'll just throw out what I think first. I think the entire Colts organization, while they've handled the Andrew Luck retirement well, and they just picked up Jacoby Brissett to a 2-year deal today. And I just think that with that huge hole left by Andrew Luck was going to really show this first week. And I think Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, honestly, I think they had a little bit of a disappointing season last year for where they thought they were talent-wise. I think they're gonna come out here, and I think they're gonna play better this year. And I think they beat the Colts. I don't see it being a high-scoring game, just because both teams have some pretty good defenses. I'll go 24-17.
I had the exact same score, Joel. 24-17. I think Phillip Rivers has a lot more experience than Jacoby Brissett. Time's running out for him. I mean, he's getting up there in age, but, he can still obviously ball and play really good. So, and the Chargers, while the Colts have a big hole with Andrew Luck, the Chargers also have a big hole with Melvin Gordon. So, I think this game is really interesting when you put it on paper because in Indianapolis, it's a very hard place to win. The Colts have gotten significantly better on both sides of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, they were one of those teams where Andrew Luck was coming back. You were just like, they'll be a decent team. They might miss the playoffs. They might barely make it 8-8 at best. But they ended up, being the hottest team in the league at the end of the season until they lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. And, they were legit, man. They shut out the Cowboys after the Cowboys had won, 6 straight and beat the Saints on Thursday night. So the Colts were legit last year. And I actually had them as my AFC favorites this year until Andrew Luck retired. So, it sucks the way it went down with him. But, the Colts are still scary. So it all depends on how Jacoby Brissett plays. He's in a really good system right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to have to be able to utilize the run a lot because Jacoby Brissett can't do it all. T.Y. Hilton, obviously one of the best receivers in the league. Eric Ebron had a really good season last year. So I'm interested to see if Jacoby Brissett can air the ball out like Andrew Luck did. But I just don't see it happening. The Colts are scary defensively, so I think they're going to limit. I think they're going to get some turnovers on Phillip Rivers and make it kind of a close game. But I think overall they're not going to be able to score as much points in the end. And I think the Chargers are going to get a big win on the road, 24-17, exact same score as you, Joel. So,
Preston, what do you think?
Yeah, so, my Chargers, man, they're, little flex right there. I'm kind of nervous because, Andrew Luck finished out the year really well last year, so I think he's going to play really well this first game. No, I'm just kidding. No, I definitely think that, Chargers are going to come out with a W, but don't sleep on Jacoby Brissett, man. I think he definitely could hurt us with his legs. But yeah, and I wouldn't say we're necessarily in a hole with Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon definitely helps out, but
yeah, I agree, Preston.
But we still have good backs.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say we win 28-20.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean it to sound like it was too much of a bad thing, but obviously when you're having situations like that, it could be a negative impact on the team. But,
right.
Obviously, Melvin Gordon, I think I like him a lot. For how good he is, he's not even a top 5 back in the league, which is crazy to say, And I was telling Preston that earlier this week. So, there's 5 running backs better than him, and he's really good. So
I just think the National Football League right now has so many great running backs, and the position's losing its value overall. So it's just a hard situation for Melvin Gordon to be in personally.
Yeah. No, and I think 2 years ago when Jacoby Brissett played, did the Colts miss the playoffs barely? Wasn't it close? Like, didn't they barely miss it? It was close.
Yeah, I think they barely missed the playoffs, but Jacoby Brissett played pretty well, especially with the situation he was in.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad quarterback by all means, but there's a reason why Andrew Luck is
the guy.
Luck,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And like speaking of Andrew Luck, that's what I was saying. Like Aaron Rodgers, like going back to that, I think Aaron Rodgers has a lot to prove because before Andrew Luck just retired, I would have taken Andrew Luck over Aaron Rodgers this year, just because I think he's in a better situation, better team, and at this point, he's younger, so I think he had a lot more to prove. But obviously, he's not. So next game.
So next game is Cincinnati Bengals at Seattle Seahawks. And Seattle's a 9.5 or a 10-point favorite, depending on some of the odds.
Oh gosh, this game. Preston, you can start this game.
What's the game?
Cincinnati at Seattle.
Cincinnati at Seattle. Ooh.
Seahawks just got Jadeveon Clowney this week.
Oh yeah, that's a great pickup.
They did. That was crazy. I don't know what the Texans were thinking.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of questions surrounding Russell Wilson's or like the Seahawks in general, their defense. Even though they just got Jadeveon Clowney, and then obviously their offensive line, and then their receiver talent. They did draft DK Metcalf, so he's definitely a sleeper in fantasy this year. And I think Tyler Lockett's really good. I don't know if he's a number one receiver, but I definitely think that he could be a sleeper in fantasy as well. Honestly, any of the Seahawks receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, my gut tells me, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are going to pull it out over Cincinnati because, Andy Dalton's a bum. I'm not a fan of Andy Dalton, and I might just end up picking on him a lot this year. I don't know why somehow teams like stick around with mediocre quarterbacks for so long.
Well,
like,
the Bengals are a
he's
mediocre
obviously
franchise.
Yeah.
Not what?
I said the Bengals are a mediocre franchise, so he fits in well.
So they should go for, they need a franchise quarterback, man.
They got Andy Dalton. What more can you want?
Yeah.
Anyways, the Seahawks 27-17.
All right, Joel.
I have Seahawks win 27-14. I think that Russell Wilson's coming out of this offseason. He got paid. He's finally feeling like he's the man in Seattle after those defenses and Pete Carroll running the show. So I just think that he's going to come out ready to play, and Cincinnati Bengals are the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to do what they do and lose. Andy Dalton's nothing special. I think that's like a great way to describe the Cincinnati Bengals. Nothing special. Russell Wilson is just going to come out there. I think he's going to be even better of a passer this year. I think the pickup of Jadeveon Clowney will really help them on the defensive side of the ball. And not only on the Jadeveon Clowney thing, I think that the Texans made a smart move because after losing Andrew Luck in their division, I don't think they need two great pass rushers in J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney, because now they'll still have J.J. Watt being a great pass rusher and causing trouble for quarterbacks in their division. But I don't think you need Jadeveon Clowney when you have the best quarterback in Deshaun Watson in your division.
Yeah, at this point now, because Andrew Luck's gone.
Yeah.
But so you have Seattle. What's the score?
I had Seattle winning 27-14.
Okay. Yeah. So Cincinnati, terrible, mediocre, trash. You could sum it up in anything. They're going to get last in the NFC or AFC North this year. That's facts. They're another one of those teams that start off really good normally, but then they just suck at the end of the season. AJ Green can't stay healthy to save his life. I mean, if I was him, I would want to get the hell out of Cincinnati at this point. They finally, after all these years last year, fired Marvin Lewis, which he was literally holding them back all these years. They can't win a playoff game. If they get to the playoffs, they can't win a playoff game to save their life. Their franchise is just awful. Their defense, like I said, worse in the league last year. I can't name one person on that defense. I really can't. They're just that bad. And Joe Mixon, he's a really solid back, but he's just on a terrible team. And yeah, man, there's not really much more to say about this game. Andy Dalton, like Preston said at this point, like, can you really trust him as the franchise quarterback? Like, they got to make some kind of moves. And they're another one of those teams that I think is going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So, yeah, I think this game is going to get really ugly really fast. It's a hard place to win in Seattle. They don't really lose in Seattle. I think I think Seattle's only lost 2 home games to AFC opponents. And I think it was like the Chiefs and then it was like the Chargers last year. So think about that. Russell Wilson has only lost 2 games at home to AFC opponents. So that just sums it up right there too. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be get ugly really fast. I'm going to say that they win 35-14.
Oh, wow.
Blowout.
That's a major blowout.
Yeah.
Okay, next game up is Detroit at Arizona, with Detroit being a 3-point favorite. Eric, do you want to open us up?
Yeah, so Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is getting that first start. Man,
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I have him as a backup in fantasy, so maybe he can play 1 week for me. But I think Kyler Murray needs to chill a little bit with as far as it's good to have confidence going into the season, but he hasn't really been hit yet by an NFL defense to know what he's getting himself into. So I think he'll get a taste of that this Sunday. David Johnson's back. If he can stay on the field, I think he's a top 10 back in the league. You can't forget about how good he is when he's healthy. But overall, the Arizona offense is just not very good. They got some key additions. Christian Kirk is on the rise. They just picked up Michael Crabtree. So he's now
I haven't heard that in a while.
He's now in the same division as Akeem Talib again. So their rivalry is always big with that. Who did you say the favorite was in this game?
Detroit's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah. So does Kyler Murray get his first win is the real question. I don't know. This is actually a really hard game to pick because I don't think any of these teams are really that good. I think Arizona has improvement this year. I think Detroit's, they're just in a tough division, and they're obviously the worst franchise ever. Because
worse than the Browns.
Cleveland's has done their best for the past 20 years to try and take that title, but I think Detroit still holds it.
Yeah, Detroit is
Detroit. I think Detroit holds it because they've had arguably the 2 best players at their position ever and didn't do anything with them.
Oh, yeah.
Calvin Johnson
and Barry Sanders.
And why am I blanking?
Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
and they both. And isn't it a coincidence that they both ended their carears early because they didn't want to play for their terrible franchise?
Yep.
So I don't know, man. It's bad, man. Who do they even have at this point? They got rid of Golden Tate. They traded him a long time ago.
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones. Oh, did they still have Marvin Jones?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's good. Kenny Golladay, he's solid. But, Detroit, like I said, I'm going to pick Detroit. In a close. I'm going to say that they win by 7. I say they win by a field goal. 24-21. I think Kyler Murray will get his first loss and he'll realize what it's like to get hit by an NFL defense. And I think for the first game I have Kyler Murray because I saw him in the preseason. He looked rough. When he got some pressure on him. So I think it's gonna be a really tough loss, and he's gonna realize what it's like. So this is a risk, but I have Detroit. 24-21. So.
Oh, Eric, I'm gonna flip that on you. I'm going Arizona 24, Detroit 21.
Okay.
I think Kyler Murray is gonna come out there. They're gonna have the air raid offense, and they're gonna be putting some stuff out there that Detroit really hasn't seen. So that if anything, that'll catch them by surprise, and I think they'll go up a little bit early in the first half. Just Kyler Murray, and I don't think, being a small guy myself, I think Kyler Murray, he is going to take some hits. But last year when he was in the NCAA, he was the best quarterback at avoiding big hits. So he knows how to avoid the hits. He knows how to dive at the right time. He knows how to get out of bounds. I think he will take some hits, just like he did when he was in the playoffs. When he had to go up against some SEC and had to face bigger teams than the Big 12 normally puts up for defense. So I think he's going to come out ready to play. I think that Arizona wins 24-21.
All right. I hope you're right because I want Kyler Murray to do good.
Yeah, I want him to do good.
So, all right, Preston.
NFL quarterback shorter than me. So.
Yeah. Last year, this would have been the AIDS game of the week.
Yeah, I forgot. Preston does 8 games of the week.
8 games of the week.
But this year, it's it's not because of Kyler Murray. You know, Kyler Murray, he has an opportunity to come out and be something special. Whether he will or not, we'll see this game. I mean, this is his chance to kind of make a statement. And usually quarterbacks who start out well, you know, they're able to continue it for at least a little bit. But quarterbacks that start off bad, you want to get off on a good foot. So I say that Detroit's going to win in a close one. I think that Matt Stafford just has more experience and he's going to be able to make the throws he needs to in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to go 23-21 Detroit.
All right.
That's a bold prediction.
All right. So Joel's loving Kyler Murray so far. So.
I like Kyler Murray, and I think Matthew Stafford is really good in the fourth quarter at padding his stats once his team's already lost. But other than that, in the fourth quarter, he doesn't put up much.
Dang, that's so harsh, man. And Detroit's just a mess, man. So I mean, you could be right. So this next game, we all picked, right?
We all picked.
Okay. This next game is probably the AIDS match of the week, Preston. I think you could call it San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Do you think, or maybe not?
I mean, who else? What are the other games?
So we got Denver at Oakland, Houston at New Orleans, Giants at Dallas, and Tennessee at Cleveland.
Yeah, I think this has to be it.
I think this is the AIDS game of the week for sure.
This is the AIDS game of the week, man. It's either this or Denver and the Raiders. Although the Raiders might be a little bit more interesting because we've been able to see with Hard Knocks and John Gruden and everything like that. So yeah, I'll say this is the AIDS game of the week.
Or Cincinnati. I mean, I would say Cincinnati and Seattle, but Seattle's actually a good team. So
no, yeah, Seattle's a good team.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess since you're on the topic of AIDS game of the week, you can go ahead and start this game.
Start us off.
All right, so wait, who do we got playing again?
We got San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Jimmy Garoppolo's back, and Tampa Bay is back with bum-ass Jameis Winston. So
Jimmy Garoppolo versus Mike Evans. Let's see what we got.
I say Tampa Bay is going to have a worse record than Miami this year.
Oh.
I'm going to
Whoa.
There.
Even with Bruce Arians?
Yeah.
Even with Bruce Arians?
I think they're turning it around.
Even with Bruce Arians.
Okay.
Preston's a bold man.
Okay, so does that mean you have San Francisco winning?
That means I do have San Francisco winning. Okay, there's a little bit of an echo right now for me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're good. I think you're good.
Do you guys hear that?
Barely. It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I don't think Jimmy G's going to go out there and kill it. He looked terrible in the preseason. Absolutely horrific.
So bad.
But I think they'll be able to do enough. And don't forget about Jerick McKinnon. I think Jerick McKinnon could come in and do something. He was my sleeper in fantasy last year, but unfortunately he got injured.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to say 49ers win a low-scoring game, 10-7.
So I'm actually
That's
gonna.
a rough one.
10-7,
and that's how you get the AIDS game of the week.
Okay, so Joel, you can go ahead and go. I'll go last.
I have a little bit more faith in Jimmy G than I guess most people at this point. I mean, he had that one terrible game. He went like 0 for 6 and threw an interception, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think he's back. I think I think San Francisco put their faith in the right guy as a franchise quarterback. I think he learned a lot under Tom Brady in New England, and I think I think this is a season where he has to come prove himself. If he doesn't, like, it's over for him. I'm definitely hopping off the Jimmy G bandwagon. But I think that San Francisco wins this one at Tampa Bay. A low-scoring game, probably 13-10. It's not gonna be pretty.
Yeah. So while Tampa Bay might have improvement with their coaching and Bruce Arians, they're still the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the end of the day, and they still have Jameis Winston at the end of the day, who is a bum, who is not disciplined, and who doesn't want to play football. So that's the reason why I'm picking the San Francisco 49ers. I have it 17-10, nothing special at all. San Francisco, I think, overall is just a better team. They're hit or miss this year. I guess they got some new young talent at the receiver position with Deebo Samuels and Jalen Hurd. So I think, in a couple years they could still be a pretty solid team, but they did at the end of the day overpay Jimmy Garoppolo, who has to stay healthy and who's coming off of him and Jared McKinnon are both coming off of ACL tears. So, why they might start off slow, I think they're going to get a pretty, I guess, ugly win over Tampa Bay, who has better coaching, but I just don't see it, man. I really don't see Tampa Bay doing anything at all. I just don't,
Oh, yeah.
They have, Bruce Arians' experience. He hasn't been there in a year, but, it's Tampa Bay, guys. Come on. So I got San Francisco with a little bit more upside this season. So I'm going to say 17-10. On the road, tough game. Next game.
Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England.
Wait, did you pick?
Oh, yeah, I picked. I said San Francisco goes in Tampa Bay wins 13-10.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So next game of the week is Pittsburgh Steelers versus New England in New England. The Patriots are a 6-point favorite over Pittsburgh. And honestly, I have this one as Pittsburgh upsetting New England start off the season. I think that the Steelers are just way more focused this year than last year. They lost. They don't have Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown like they used to, but I think Juju Smith-Schuster's definitely taken a step up this year. This offseason has been great for him. And I think Ben Roethlisberger hopping off his weekly radio show, stop being so distracted. He's been a lot more focused. He invited the receivers out to his lake house, throwing the ball around this summer. He hasn't done that since his third or fourth year in the league. He's felt like an elitist within the Steelers franchise. I think that Patriots are rocky in September, and Tom Brady's getting older and older. And Josh McDaniels came out and said a few days ago, actually, that the Patriots don't even know what their offense is going to look like. And I think they're going to go heavy set, a more power run, old school offense this year. And I think the defensive personnel that Pittsburgh, they're big enough and strong enough to stop that and come back with a focused offense with Juju Smith-Schuster to pick up the dub in New England territory.
All right.
And then my final prediction for the game, I'll have Pittsburgh over New England by a field goal, probably 27-24.
Okay. So Pittsburgh is they're kind of in a Seattle Seahawks situation. They lost a lot of big key guys, and you kind of counted them out, but they ended up doing pretty well and surprising people making the playoffs. I think they're going to do that this year. I think losing Antonio Brown, losing Le'Veon Bell. Because at the end of the day, they didn't even make the playoffs last year. They missed it by one game. Yeah. But Big Ben not getting any younger, but he has something to prove. Juju Smith-Schuster, is on the rise. And then they have James Washington, who's due for a breakout season at the receiver position. James Conner's obviously their guy now. Vance McDonald's a really good tight end, I think, who's honestly also a sleeper. But the reason why I'm taking the Patriots in this game is because I'm taking Bill Belichick over Mike Tomlin any day of the week. So 2 years ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 years ago, this game was really exciting. AFC Championship type caliber teams. With the whole Jesse James catch, that's why Pittsburgh lost. And then the next year, Pittsburgh ended up upsetting them 17-10, but it was a kind of disappointing game. I think this game will be more higher scoring, but not as high scoring as it could be. I'm gonna say Patriots win 24-20. I think they're shaky right now. They're always pretty shaky at the beginning of the season, and somehow always finish 12-4. But I think they're gonna get. I can't count out the Patriots week 1 of the season unless something crazy happens. So Sony Michel, the run game is gonna get going. Julian Edelman is back full time now. So I think and then obviously they have N'Keal Harry. He's injured right now, but I'm excited when he gets back. And then they have Josh Gordon, who's finally balling back out. So I'm gonna say that they get. It's hard to win in New England, especially with the bad calls that they have in there. And so I'm going to say New England surprises them and wins 24-20. So, Preston, who do you have?
Yeah, I hate picking against New England, especially in Foxborough. But if you look at opening weeks the past 2 years for the Patriots, They've had bad games and lost.
They did beat the Texans last year opening week.
Okay. Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did. But that
was
but
it
hey, keep in mind,
it was the 2 years before that then.
Keep in mind though, the Texans started off 0-3 last year.
That's right.
So
then it was the two previous years before that, where they got blown out by the Chiefs in the first week.
Yeah.
And I forgot what the other week was. And everybody panicked, and was like, they're not gonna do well this year, and then they ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say, oh man, but that was a good game against Houston last year, week 1.
It was.
Yeah.
That was when Brady had that, amazing pass to was that Josh Gordon?
I think
Who was that to?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the year before against Houston, when Deshaun Watson's rookie year, he had that beautiful pass to Brandon Cooks.
Yes.
And that was like a high-scoring game. That's when everyone was like, okay, Deshaun Watson's insane. And then he got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting the fantasy news for Deshaun Watson getting hurt. I was at a cross-country meet, and I started crying because he was on my team holding me up.
Yeah. No, he had a 5-game span of just going off. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to pick against the Patriots just because they're in Foxborough. If they were in Pittsburgh, then I'd consider picking against them. But Patriots win at home. So Patriots are going to win, and I think this is going to be an awesome game, 30-27.
All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one in July.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. So next game.
Next game, we got the Texans, like we were just talking about. They're playing at New Orleans. New Orleans in the Superdome, 7-point favorite over the Houston Texans. Personally, I think New Orleans wins this, but they don't cover the spread. I think they just win by a field goal here. A little bit of higher scoring game. You are in the dome. You are starting the new season off, new rules. Officials getting used to calling stuff. They've been calling more stuff in the preseason like they always do. So I definitely think that it'll be a higher scoring game. I want to go 31-28, New Orleans over the Texans.
I have Saints winning 34-26. Higher scoring game in my opinion. But I just think it's hard. It's too hard to win in the dome. And
Sure.
the Saints are just they're focused and they're getting they have Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and like Preston said last year that Alvin Kamara was going to prove that he was the number 1 back over Mark Ingram, and he sure did. And then now that Mark Ingram's gone, he's going to get all the touches in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So this might be Drew Brees' last chance to put something together, a Super Bowl run. Everyone's saying Saints, Chiefs, Saints, Patriots. Brady, Brees, Brady, Mahomes, Brees, Mahomes. So we'll see, man. The Saints they were shaky last year at the beginning of the season, but then obviously they ended up winning 10 straight, and they were the freaking best team in the league. So I just think they have too much power for this Texans defense, and the Texans have been making some really bad moves the past few weeks. And the offensive line is terrific, and the Saints have a really underrated defense. So I think they're going to get pressure on Deshaun Watson. He's going to make a couple mistakes, and it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, but I think the Saints are just going to run away with it in the dome, and I have them winning 34-26. So, who do you have, Preston?
Yeah, so for this game, I'm going back and forth because I really do like Houston, even though I don't like the moves that they made recently. I think they have an opportunity to definitely win their division this year,
Now that the Colts,
especially now that Andrew Luck is out.
Yeah.
So I definitely see them as a playoff team. And same with the Saints. Saints, I think Carolina has a chance to win that division. I think it's gonna come down to them, and don't sleep on Atlanta either.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta's going to be good this year.
So that division's gonna be competitive. Who knows? We could have 3 teams make the playoffs out of that division. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with my gut here, and I'm gonna take Houston actually.
Ooh.
I think that Deshaun Watson's going to come out and he's going to play really well. And I don't know, just my gut's telling me Houston, I think they're going to pull off an upset. So I say they're going to win in a shootout. We'll go 35-31.
Okay. And are we saving the Cowboys game for last?
Yeah, we can say the Cowboys game.
Okay.
Last.
Denver at Oakland. So I'll start this game.
Go for it.
So I have Oakland winning.
Oh, dang.
That
surprises me.
Yeah. So Joe Flacco is getting his first start as a Denver Bronco. Man, Joe Flacco, he's one of those guys. He's a playoff guy. You know, like he'll show up clutch in the playoffs. Not too much of a regular season guy. It's kind of weird not seeing him on the Ravens anymore. But Oakland, they did make some moves, and I just think them being at home last year, I think.
Home.
Yeah, I mean, is it really home? But like, still, I think that they're going to take it to Denver this game. I really do. And you know, Oakland's kind of a hit or miss team this year. They made moves, but at the same time, they weren't anything to like say whoa. You know, like Antonio Brown was like whoa, but everyone else was just like eh. And then they just released Brandon Marshall, which was kind of surprising at the linebacker position because I thought he was going to help them a lot defensively.
Same.
But yeah, but they do have Josh Jacobs.
See that on Hard Knocks tonight.
Wait, what's that?
We'll probably see that on Hard Knocks tonight.
Yeah, we probably will. I don't know. I just think Oakland's due for a win here. I don't see Denver going in there. Division game. It was a close game last year, and I think Oakland upgraded more. You know, Denver obviously one of those teams where their offense, you know, is kind of but their defense is always pretty good, especially with the pass rush of Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. And you know, it's interesting to see what they can do. Last year they had a chance. Last year they started off terrible, but then they had a chance to make the playoffs, and they had 3 easy wins to get in the playoffs, and they lost all 3 of them. So
yeah,
you know, it was just
no excuse for that.
Yeah, it came down to coaching and Case Keenum turning the ball over too much. So yeah, I'm gonna have Oakland winning this game. I think they're gonna win. I'm gonna say it's a lower scoring game. I'm gonna say that they win 20-17. It'll be pretty close, but I think they'll win. And I think they just have too much. And I'm excited to see Josh Jacobs get his first start. I think he's gonna have a pretty good season. So yeah, I have Oakland 20-17.
Preston?
Yeah, so I definitely have Oakland winning this game as well. Just the Broncos, they might be able to get the run going with Phillip Lindsay to open things up for Joe Flacco, but if they don't, it's going to be a long day for Joe Flacco, even against this Raiders defense. I just think that, you know, the Broncos, they have a lot of work to do. And the Raiders, I think they got something to prove. They got the Hard Knocks hype around them. And they're going to come out and they're going to win week 1. Close game, 20-17.
All right, I'm taking Denver for this game. I just think that what have you heard from Denver this offseason other than the Joe Flacco move? Like, they've been quiet. I think they've been focused at camp. And you've heard so much coming from John Gruden, Antonio Brown.
I hate that man still. You guys know I do. You guys know I hate John Gruden.
We get it. Eric hates John Gruden. It hurt him. It hurt him physically
to
pick Oakland this week.
Yeah, it did.
But I just think Denver's going to come out. I love Von Miller. I am a very biased Aggie, so I root for all my Aggies in the league. I think that Denver's going to come out and put their... Oakland is only a 1-point favorite at home, so Denver in a neutral territory would definitely win this thing. So I think my money's on Denver. Low scoring as well, 17-14, just because neither of them have that explosive of an offense, and Antonio Brown's not really worked his way into the system yet, especially with the...
And he's coming off of a freaking...
the cryo foot injury.
The cryo thing, which was stupid.
That is so
And
dumb.
the whole helmet situation.
I think that the helmet situation was honestly just a distraction from the fact that he cryoed his feet without the socks on, because that makes you look so dumb. And this, like, he's a grown man. He has a cryo machine in his house. I don't think there's really an excuse.
And he's a professional too.
Like,
so I mean,
yeah, if you have one in your house, there's no way you shouldn't know.
And like, how would it be such of a problem to like get the helmet to him if he's like Antonio Brown? You know what I mean? So like, I did think they kind of did overdo it. I mean, obviously, like it, you know, at the end of the day, it's for safety purposes, but like, you know, I mean, I can see where you're coming for, like, just kind of covering it up, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be close either way. Like I said, like last year, Mile High is a hard place to win. Like Denver got some big upsets last year in Mile High.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to play there. So, but it's in Oakland, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So next game we're going to is Tennessee Titans at Cleveland. So Cleveland's a 6-point. Cleveland's a 6-point favorite to win this thing. I'm not as high on Cleveland as most people are. I think that they'll either narrowly make the playoffs or just miss out, honestly. I don't have them going to the Super Bowl. I'm not on the Twitter Cleveland hype train. I think they'll win this one by a field goal over Tennessee. But I think if Tennessee comes out and they play well, it's very capable for them to take this game away from Cleveland. So I think final score, I think it will be a little bit higher scoring. It's earlier in the season. Baker Mayfield's got a lot of offensive weapons right now to use, so I think this game goes 30-24 or 30-27. Cleveland winning this, taking this one away from Tennessee early in the season.
Okay, Preston.
I am on that Cleveland hype train, baby. Baker, mother, Mayfield. He's going to plant the flag, every single game this year. He's just going to plant that flag.
Gosh.
Goes from most hated man in Ohio to the most loved man in Ohio. And he is their savior. He has recruited OBJ. They got Jalen Landry now. They got multiple running backs. They got Kareem Hunt coming, what is it, after 4 games? Or
Jalen Landry.
Hey, still not as bad as Juice.
Yeah, not as bad as Juice. Hey, pulling for Joby.
Pulling for Joby.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue. So they got Jarvis Landry. Odell Beckham.
Oh, Jarvis Landry. Yeah. Okay.
We're a bunch of idiots.
I think it's fine. At least we're not Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, gosh. Or Max
Kellerman.
Or Max Kellerman.
Jeez, what a clown. All right.
But Cleveland has something to prove. They're going to have a target on their back, but that's the way Baker Mayfield likes it. He likes having a target on his back. It motivates him. It pushes him. He's got that big-ass chip on his shoulder. And he's going to come out, and he's going to prove all the doubters wrong. And they are going to cream the Titans. They're going to cream them. It is going to be a final score of 35-20.
Oh, my gosh. I am not on the Cleveland hype train like that, bro.
All right.
I seriously think that teams last year and the years before have been playing them like, oh, it's Cleveland, it's practically a bye week. But now that Cleveland's got all high up on their horse, everyone's going to be like, let's knock Cleveland down.
Yeah. So here's my whole situation on Cleveland. They're good, but they're not great yet, and we still have to see what they can do. So
definitely.
I guess I'm rooting for them, and I want them to do good, but I will not be surprised if they totally flat out just end the same as they did last year, or maybe a little bit better. I have them as a wild card team as of right now. I don't have them. I'm not going to be on the hype train and say AFC champs or Super Bowl. They're just not that. They're still Cleveland until they prove otherwise. So Baker Mayfield, he's the reason that their whole franchise turned around this past year. He went 7-8-1, I think, right? And they barely missed the playoffs. So Cleveland, like you said, Preston, they do have a lot to prove this year, but the reason why they also have a lot to prove is because they have a lot of hype around them. So, it all depends how it all flows. They have a lot of great weapons. They have Odell Beckham reunited with Jarvis Landry. They have David Njoku, who's a solid tight end. They have a decent offensive line. They have a good running game in Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt doesn't come back until week 10 or something like that, so he'll have to learn the offense. But I think realistically, next year is going to be the big year of Cleveland if it happens. I don't think this year is going to be quite the big year yet. I think they'll be about 500 or above 500 team, maybe wild card team. That would be them exceeding expectations. Mm-hmm. But I have yet to see it. However, I do have them this game. I do. I think being at home, Baker Mayfield's going to come out strong, slinging the gun, throw about 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb's going to get a rushing touchdown. And it's going to be loud there in Cleveland this Sunday. So I got the Cleveland Browns winning this game, higher scoring, 28-24. So yeah.
All right. So saving the best for last. We got them, the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants.
Let's go.
Giants playing in Dallas with the Cowboys, a 7-point favorite. Eric, how about you open this one up?
You want me to open this up?
I want you to open this one up.
Okay, I'll open this up. This is the first time because I normally pick the Cowboys games last, but I'll go ahead and go first. So, because Gage isn't here. Gage always picks the Cowboys first.
Okay.
But Preston, Preston knows a lot about me and the Cowboys last year. I think I went 5-11 picking Cowboys games last year. It was bad. I think so I got the Redskin game on Thanksgiving, right? The Giants game week 1, and then the Giants game week 17, and then I got the Eagles game.
First one at home.
No, the second one.
Okay.
How do you remember all this?
Because the first one was on the road.
Oh yeah.
And then I picked the Buccaneers. We beat the Buccaneers when we clinched.
Oh,
so 5-11 on Cowboys games last year. It would be that thing where they would have a really bad week, and I'd be like, okay, I can't pick them this week, and then they win and they bounce back. I'm like, dude, it was
the Saints game.
The Saints
game, and then they go and they lose it the next week.
Yeah, the Saints game. I was like, oh yeah, okay, and then I picked the Saints. They lost, and then they played the Eagles. I picked them. They won that one. I was right, and then I was like, all right, they're too hot right now. They just beat the Saints. They beat the Eagles. They're going to kill the Colts, and then the Colts freaking shut us out. So, I mean, last year was just a terrible game, or a terrible season for me picking Cowboys game, but not this year, baby.
Let's go.
I'm not going to be a jinx this year, Preston, and this is going to be a good year. So, I got the Cowboys winning this game. Division
Surprise.
game, it could be more of a closer game, but I think the Cowboys are going to win by 10 to 14 points. Saquon Barkley's going to go in there and make some plays, but I think overall, defense is going to put pressure on Eli Manning as usual. We're going to get some turnovers. They can't keep up with us, and I think we're going to win. Watch out for Michael Gallup this season. I think he's due for a breakout year, especially since Amari Cooper is battling plantar in his foot. Now, the big question is, Zeke, is he going to get paid? I'm hearing in the next 24 hours he's going to get a contract that's massive, but he's back in Dallas, and he's in terms right now with the Cowboys. So the question is, will he get paid? If he doesn't get paid, I think the Cowboys are still going to win the game. But the Cowboys are not going to win anything if they don't have Zeke. He runs the offense, and we have to have him. We just have to have him. As much as you hate to see it, as much as Dak Prescott proved in the playoffs last year that he can lead a team, be a leader, and win. Kind of, but he won a playoff game, which is all we really asked for. But we still need Ezekiel Elliott. He still needs people around him. He's still an average quarterback, so he's not anything special. I can give you that. I'm not gonna be, and I think at most he doesn't deserve over $35 million. No, I don't think that at all. I agree. I agree with people on that. He
31
at most, but 31. Still. If you realize with the position that the Cowboys are in, it's just the facts. The Cowboys, he has to get paid that much. He's their guy, and I understand it just has to happen because the quarterback position is evolving every year, and sooner or later in the next 10 years, we're going to see these quarterbacks getting these big contracts is going to be so natural.
Oh, yeah.
Because the QB position is just evolving.
Yeah.
So while Dak might not deserve that much money, he's going to get that much money because the situation that they're in.
Yeah, I just definitely think with the CBA coming up and just the salary cap increasing, I think paying quarterbacks this much. I think paying Dak right now, 31, 32 sounds like a lot of money, but I think in 5 years when the salary cap's up another $20 million, we'll look back on it, and I don't think it'll be as bad of a deal as it is. I think the Jimmy G contract, when you look at it, he's making $27 million a year, which as far as paid quarterbacks go is not even not the top tier of paid quarterbacks. So I think us paying Dak is a must do. I think he's our guy for now. And I definitely think that I like his leadership qualities. I think he's become an even better passer. Last 7 games last year, he showed incredible improvement in his passing game. And on the flip side of what Eric's saying about Ezekiel Elliott, I'm excited.
I am too.
I think that Tony Pollard has shown some good stuff, and if Zeke doesn't come back this first game, I'm not going to be too disappointed. I think we have the Giants locked up, and it'll be good to put Tony Pollard in. If we put him in, he's great. Then that just puts more pressure on Zeke and helps out the Cowboys. And if we put him in and maybe he's not so good, we still have Zeke. We'll make sure we get him paid. And the Cowboys, we can let the Cowboys run great behind Ezekiel Elliott this season. I have this one, big time Dallas win. I'm going Cowboys 31, New York Giants 21.
Okay, so yeah, I have the Cowboys, like I said, winning by like 10 to 14. I'm going to say 24-14. I think the Cowboys are due for a big year, and it might be a do or die year with the whole contract situation. And this is Jason Garrett's last year to prove that if he can get to the NFC Championship or possibly the Super Bowl, then that's the only way he's going to keep his job. He's not going to keep his job if he doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So, the Cowboys are in a really good position this year, I think. Being unbiased, I think they're in a really good position because they have a young defense who showed promise last year. When they had Amari Cooper, their whole offensive scheme changed. Dak Prescott got more confidence, and I just think there's a lot of people on the team that are due to break out. And I like Gallup. I like Cooper. I like the offense. Having Jason Witten back is going to help in the red zone, which we were so terrible in last year. We have a better play caller. I think it's going to give more confidence to the offense. And Tony Pollard's going to take the pressure off of Zeke during the season. So, we won't run him into the ground all the time. So, I think I like the Cowboys this year. Randall Cobb replacing Cole Beasley. Either that's going to be really good or really bad. Robert Quinn adding keys to the defensive line, which got pummeled around in the playoff game last year. So I'm excited to see what the Cowboys do. I think this game is a no-brainer. We win this one. Knock on wood. But, I have them winning 24-14. I think we're going to get a pretty big win here against the Giants week 1. So who do you got, Preston?
Yeah, y'all talk too much. Bottom line is, Giants are bad. I'm rarely going to pick a game with Eli Manning playing quarterback. If Daniel Jones was playing quarterback, I might pick the Giants here. But, yeah, if the Cowboys lose this game, you are officially a jinx, Eric.
Yeah. I'm separating myself from Eric on this whole jinx thing. I'd like to not be a part of that. I think last year picking Cowboys games, I was like 8-8, so I'll take that. Definitely not 5-11. That's rough.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
To be fair, we were 3-5 last year at the midpoint of the season.
Yeah.
And it was looking terrible. And then we got Amari Cooper, and it took a couple games, and then we finally got in a roll. So
look, if you're a delusional Dallas Cowboys fan and you pick them to win every single week, you'll probably get 8 or 9 this season. So just do that.
I'm not going to, though. I'll be realistic because I think, based on how the schedule's going, spoiler alert, I think the Cowboys are going to start 3-0 and then lose to the Saints in the Dome. But we'll see how the games go because obviously if, teams play better, teams play bad, then obviously we change. If we lose, then maybe, okay, well, never mind. But, yeah. Anyways, we're talking too much. We're rambling on. What is your score, Preston?
My score is Cowboys win 20-17.
You think it's going to be close?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be unless they really get Zeke going.
Okay. So you think Zeke's
I definitely think Zeke will play, though. I think they'll have him signed.
I think he'll play, too.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Like I said, there's been a lot of talks within the next 24 hours that he's going to have a deal through 2026, which at that point in his career, he would be 30 years old, and that's when running backs start slowing down normally, so it's not a bad deal.
I think 28 is that's how far I'd go. I was 28 years old.
Yeah, but 2026 he'll be 30, so he'll be under but that's why I like the addition of Tony Pollard because he can take that pressure off of him and we won't run him into the ground because based on how it's been going the past 3 years, Zeke is going to burn out in the next few years. So I think this is really going to help. But anyways, that's our picks this week. I think that's every game, right?
Yeah, it's every game.
We had some upsets. I definitely want to pick more upsets this year because I think last year I didn't pick enough and it just kind of bite me in the butt. There was a lot of upsets. Yeah. There's always a week of guaranteed it's just whack. Something will happen. We'll all do terrible. But overall, I'm excited for this year. It's going to be a big year. College football's back, too.
Oh, yeah. A&M Clemson this
A&M
Saturday.
Clemson, LSU,
Texas. I'm going to be glued to my couch for hours.
Yeah, and then Sunday, obviously, eyes on football and fantasy. Yeah. So, that's our week picks. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Preston, Joel, y'all got anything else to say before we head out here?
Nah, just glad to be here. Happy to have first time on the podcast, and hopefully be back next week and be a regular.
Okay, and we'll see who's in first place after that. Preston, you good, man?
Yep, peace.
All right, see you guys.